We are live. All right,
Woo!
so now I'm gonna go and see if
throw a
I
link
can
to
find
the outputs?
this.
I'm going to get Bridget to take a quick look and
Okay,
watch us.
yeah, I'll grab the links to YouTube and Twitch. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely live. um,
Okay, that's how that works.
there's Twitch and oh wait a minute, stream. There's stream chat and then so this. Oh, interesting. So you gotta in order to. I'm getting confused by too many windows. All right, those are going over there. This is another aspect of just figuring this out. It's like, okay, live, our video recording over here, and then we've got the live streams in a separate screen. Close that out. Okay, so you see both of those links that I just posted, like this one
I see them. Yep.
and this one.
So what's different? Are they the same?
No, one's for YouTube and one's for Twitch.
Oh,
Oh,
the
shoot.
link is yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. It's showing.
It's got a YouTube logo and a Twitch output.
Yeah, that's really confusing. Okay, here.
Oh, I see us.
All right, you delete one of the. Now I'm just seeing three different. This is really good. Oh, okay. There's no. That's interesting. It didn't go anywhere. So I'll just star both of those.
Let me know if you start getting weird feedback incidentally, because I'm trying to tinker with this.
Okay. Oh yeah. Hey, that's from Twitch. That looks like a test comment from Twitch.
Yep, that was me posting it in Twitch. Nice.
Oh, I actually need to sign into Twitch. It's been a while.
I'm going to turn the volume down on Twitch just so I'm not getting audio feedback.
Yeah.
I'll do the same with YouTube. I'll sign into YouTube. I guess I can actually
Push
just open
that
this
icon all the way forward. Okay, that comment should get. Yep, there it is. Weird.
Nice. Okay, so we're getting test comments through both platforms.
Yep. Okay.
What
So
are you doing that's highlighting the URL in the stream there?
I wonder if I can change your role. Because I'm basically just you can show and say, oh look, somebody commented from YouTube. You can click on the comments in the chat feed here.
Okay, I don't. Are you? But you're doing that in StreamYard?
I'm doing that in StreamYard.
Yeah, it looks like you can, but I can't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's something I'm not sure about. Is like, do you might need a StreamYard account to be like part of a
Yeah,
group stream where there's multiple hosts? Frick. What happened? Oh no. I lost Trond. Okay. Hey.
Yeah, it looks like if I click the login button, it takes me completely out of the studio.
Oh, okay.
And if I come back to the
logged in
URL
now?
that I'm on, come back to the studio like hitting the back button, you then have to re-add me to the chat.
Gotcha. Is Bridget the one that's watching the stream right now?
I have not yet sent her the links, but I will send her the links.
There's a third person hanging up.
I mean, I have been, but I'm not there.
Oh, well, I guess it could actually be just. Oh, wait a minute. If I go over to YouTube on my other browser.
Can you send me the link to the Twitch one again? They've disappeared from me from the chat.
Yeah. Weird. Ooh, there they go.
Send them to me in the private chat instead of the comment.
Damn it. For some reason, that one, it's still here in the chat feed, but I can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here. I'll just grab it from here. And then this. Okay, so it should pop up in the chat feed now. Oh yeah, interesting. See that? It's like it commented from the same link on all of the different platforms for streaming too. When I hit post a comment from StreamYard.
Oh, so StreamYard. So okay, so StreamYard can send things out.
StreamYard's like multiplexing it out to.
That's cool.
Yeah. Hello from upstairs.
That's Bridget.
Nice.
Hi, Bridget.
That's so funny.
That's there. Can you try the Twitch one as well?
Yeah. What, showing the Twitch one?
Oh, no, I just sent you the Twitch link.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I wonder. Oh, you can actually like dynamically add channels in or out. So like we could add Facebook and Twitter and Instagram or LinkedIn as we're going. That's interesting.
That's cool.
Oh, we can set this stream as unlisted. I see that now.
Do you do that?
So
do you set that for the stream as a whole across all platforms, or do you do that on a per platform basis?
It looks like a per platform basis. So the platform has to have that option. YouTube does. So like right now on YouTube, I could set this as public, unlisted, or private.
Okay, well, I mean, we've got YouTube and Twitch is probably just fine for what we're doing at the moment, and we can look at spreading to other channels at a later point in time.
Yeah, for Twitch, there's not like an unlisted option, so I think you just by default you're streaming to Twitch live.
Bridget is in Twitch and watching us, but she doesn't want to set up an account, which is fair enough.
Yeah, well, YouTube I think is the lowest drag option here.
So when you set up the thing, do you have the ability to set much into the description and things?
Yeah, that's actually another thing I was thinking about is how do we dynamically change like the banner that? or can we create a banner? So for instance, our test stream for a new podcast. So I could throw this up and then we have a banner now on the screen, but I don't, that's in the stream.
Right. But there's no obvious ways of editing the description.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Oh, wait, here we go. Yes, there is. So, here we go. I could say, what do you want to change? I could add a description for
yeah, just add like some test description. I'm guessing that you set the name of it, which is Test Stream Trond and J, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's so that's where that comes from, and then the description presumably you can change. I'm curious if when you change it, it updates on the thing in a reasonable speed or anything.
Well, so let's test that now. I'm changing it to podcast stream Trond and J, and then adding a description for YouTube, and then I'm doing the same thing for Twitch, which does not have a description, just you can set up a category. But
Right.
okay, that's saving. So let me know. Here in StreamYard, it changed immediately. Now it says podcast.
Okay, yeah, that updated on StreamYard, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'm refreshing
If I
YouTube.
go over to YouTube.
Oh, it's changed now. So it's updated in YouTube. Yep.
Okay, that was pretty quick.
And it's updated in Twitch because it does have a thing on Twitch.
Nice. Awesome. I think in Twitch, I need to go to my other email. Yes, there we are. Okay, and then I should be able to access that. Boom. Okay, cool. Got it. All right, so I'm in both. We're all good. Oh, what else can we test out here? So there's we have these different layouts.
Okay. Do we have a layout that would
focused
allow us to, put something up on the screen? And
Yeah.
not that I'm thinking we're going to do presentations, but it might be nice to, occasionally say, and here's this thing that just came up.
Yeah, so you can do slides from Google Slides or your computer. You can do an extra camera, which is kind of interesting. You can also do a video file, which I think you have to upload. And then you can do share screen, and that gives you the Chrome options of like picking a tab, a window, or the entire screen. So for instance,
I see
I
two
could
options
just
there.
share
the screen,
share
slides, video screen, share screen. Okay.
Yeah, and then I can kind of add this to the stage, and now we're both kind of commenting over oh, here you go.
Nice.
So if we had like green screens behind us, we could just be floating heads on the corner of the screen.
And in fact, you can sort of see progressively as this goes on. It's slowly constructing an infinity tunnel.
Oh no!
It's just because
cool.
the delay is enough that it takes 5 seconds
Yeah.
for each depth. Oh, that's good.
That's the most interesting recursion I've created in a video feed.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's screen sharing. It looks like that only. That's really cool. Yeah, and then we can do just full screen, right? So we're not actually showing. If we were showing like a video and didn't want our heads to be down at the bottom left.
Okay, so we have the technology to do a stream.
Yeah.
And the basics and things.
Do.
Like we know what we need to. I think we have all the technology we would need to do a first couple of these things.
Yeah.
We can always come up with new things we want to do to make it more exciting and to tweak the color of things, and I'm sure you can do all that.
Yeah.
The background that's going on there's like this sort of when you have the faces smaller, there's like some background image. Is that something you can configure?
Oh yes, yeah. So, like this guy.
Yeah, whatever that
is. This background could be anything. I mean, we can do things like videos. We can change that background to be totally different things. We can just add new ones.
Yeah, but we can come up with whatever we want.
Music countdown, but that's a thing that can be done.
So is that like countdown to the stream starting sort of thing?
Yeah, so like we can add our, if we had a custom video, we could add our own.
Wow, we could go crazy. All sorts of things.
Yeah. Yep. So we can do that kind of thing. We can play some music in the background. Can you hear that?
This is the music we play when one of us has to go and do something else in another thing.
Yeah.
Listening to a podcast enough, I start to realize that even though it sounds like people sit together and that's all that's going on, I'm fully aware that there's 5-minute breaks in there that have been cut out. So and so had to get a cup of tea or whatever. So if we're live streaming, we just can play stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, because live stream you can't do any editing. So bathroom break, whatever it is, somebody comes to the door and you got to go answer it. Sometimes you need a little bit of filler. Also, the like countdown video you can just set as a looping thing, so it could literally just be an intermission video.
Yeah, make a cool little animation and something, and whatever it is. Yep.
I'm like watching myself do gestures and things. It's funny.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good animation. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
things that we need. I've made a Trello board because I'm a Trello person.
Yeah. Nope. That's great. Love
I
it.
haven't put much on it yet. I just made it so far. I will throw it in. Oh, Bridget's observing that Twitch is faster than YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, YouTube
Is the scroll bar like all the way to the right to present?
Oh, that could be it. Yeah, maybe.
Like if she hit pause and play again at some point, it might be a few seconds behind. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are different.
Yeah, I mean, it's plausible that it was. She was saying it's only a couple of seconds, so like a second faster. So probably just a processing delay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try the private chat out because I haven't tried that yet, and I'm going to put a link into a Trello board there.
Oh, that's okay. I was looking for that earlier. I didn't realize they had a totally private chat separate.
What's your best email address for you on Trello?
I think it would be this one. I haven't used Trello specifically for a very long time because I've been doing the same thing with Notion.
Right.
But Trello's fine. So
I'm increasingly not liking Trello for reasons that annoy me, and they're not reasons that they're not reasons that anyone else is going to solve. Because Trello used to be lists, and that's it. Lists with cards on them could handle 1,000 cards just fine, and they are increasingly trying to add all of these annoying things that make it slow. And every time I complained about it to their support, people say, "Well, we really imagine this for more like 50 cards on a board." And I'm like, "That's great and all, but."
For only 50 cards.
Oh, some of them, but it's probably it could be more than that. I have boards with 1,000 on them, so I would like them to be a little bit less. I'd like them to be a bit more robust.
Is Trello trying to get me to use Atlassian now?
I mean, they bought by Atlassian.
Oh, they bought it.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Atlassian software is all a bit slow.
Yep. It's all
so
very.
I've been every now and again I get annoyed enough to go off and look at open source alternatives, things like Plunker and so forth. Yeah. Plunker is an open source thing. It's very similar to Trello looking. But it's missing a few features, and I haven't yet felt the need to set it up and add those features myself. But the day will come, I'm sure.
Have you used Notion for this kind of thing before?
I haven't used Notion, but my use case is not really focused around project management. It's much more focused around tracking personal tasks and things like that. And most of the tools that are out there, they want to add all sorts of crap that I just don't want and that I find gets in the way. I haven't played with Notion for it, though.
So Notion is really, I mean, it's focused on capturing personal notes. They've just over time added more collaboration features and then more project management features. But at the heart of it, you can do a really simple board with cards, just like Trello.
Can I have a board that has, say, 50 or 60 lists and about 1,000 cards?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you do like
that's
entire
that's really the key
databases
thing,
full of
right?
cards.
Is the
the scaling.
It has to scale and it has to be simple and not try and sell me on extra shit that I don't want.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's the baseline. Is it's structured into blocks of information, pages, and lists. Lists basically are databases. So they could be 10 items. They could be 10. I haven't tried 10,000 before, but I think. I mean, I've been using it for years with probably thousands of different cards or pages that are stored within.
So this is like a list view,
tasks and such. Let's see. I could actually I could share a view. Let's go to the home thing, and then if I do share my screen, and we'll do a window here, and I'll show you Notion. I'll just make that a different format here. Okay, can you see? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. So Cool. They've added all this stuff, but at the end of the day, the basic functionality is just I make a board like this, and I have all kinds of different cards on it.
Yeah, and so
Um,
can I make? How do I? How I want to look at how to make a board and then to.
we'll go to a blank page, and I just create a new blank page, and then say I want this to be. Oh, that's just the title. This is going to be my Trello board. Okay, so then I just do a slash to get this command thing to come up, and I can basically turn this into an actual page. I can do numbered lists, drop downs, blah, 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 all that, embed things.
Board view?
But then you get to this database section where you just have different ways of showing database information. The table is the fundamental one, but the board is the one you're talking about. So it's just like this, and you would name it.
And how many columns can I set on this thing? Or is that
Columns are properties, and as many as you want.
And so these are correspond to a database or something, you say?
Yeah, like this becomes a database. Your Trello board. So we're on a page that I just created to start from scratch here. But this this test Trello board is really, should call that a database. And it itself is just a collection. If we look at it as a table, you can just see all the same stuff in a different view, and you can add new properties here, like a status or a multi-select or all kinds of different things. You can just keep on kind of going down the line and then create new items. And then you can, over on the different view and a board view, you can then treat these cards as different Trello cards. Each one of those is like its own page with all of these properties. So you can then do whatever you want with this page, including all of the same stuff we just did over here. You could create other databases that are that are located or linked to here. Back within this main one, you can relate, like within the properties here, I could create a property that's actually relates to another database. So like a relation here, or rolls up information from a different one.
Interesting.
Like
you've been playing with Zettelkasten?
Yeah, I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff.
How are you finding Zettelkasten as a technique?
Zettelkasten, I quite enjoy personally. That I've been doing for quite a while, not the last week, apparently, but I just have a view of this that is basically showing me, these time spans, like the last 7 days, 30, and then it goes to monthly. And basically, I get a stack of entries into that Zettelkasten.
Are you doing the whole number system thing for it?
Yeah, so each one has, so let's see, Hitchhiker's Guide to Open Source Generative Sound and Music. If you look at the properties for this, it is doing some autofill that I just set up, but there's a created time, and each one has a unique ID as a property, which is actually just a date and time stamp. I think something along those lines. Yeah. That's really it. Like, it's the date and timestamp, and then you can link to other pages as well, and add references here. Like if I wanted to reference another page in my Zettelkasten, let's see, maybe I just do @ and then I search for D&D. I'm sure there was a D&D character that I created in my Zettelkasten at some point, or location. Yeah. So Griffin Hill. So this is another page in the Zettelkasten. Same properties, a timestamp, all of that. And it's linked to in multiple other places. Looks like I had done a timestamp and a description of some stuff that happened.
Yeah, I have a bunch of Obsidian workspaces that I use for gaming type stuff like that.
Yeah. So I've experimented with it in a lot of different ways. I have the Zettelkasten, which is kind of for things that like come out of my brain usually. And then I have a separate thing I call references, which is basically just a database of things that I collect from elsewhere, like different articles and things, and it will, um, yeah, like a video series on mastering epoxy,
Mhm.
or a Radiolab episode on aphantasia,
Mhm.
and that's just from like a web clipper in the Chrome browser. You can just be like, send this page to Notion and tell it where to send it, and I just send it directly to this references thing. And I can actually, over time, I can see via this sort of cascade timeline, like when I actually grabbed different ones the further back I go, like what stuff I was interested in.
Interesting.
I don't use this very often, but it's interesting to have the view every once in a while. But it's just kind of the generic collection point, so I don't have to think about where it needs to go most of the time. I just want to put it somewhere that I can search for and find later.
Yeah, I do a thing with
Um,
I started doing a thing with Obsidian where I just have daily entries, and every day it's just anything that happens that day that I want to write down gets thrown into that entry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I my consistency on like daily entries is not regular. I have like bursts where for a couple of weeks I'm throwing a ton of stuff, and then for a week I don't know, I don't end up putting anything in there. But um, this sort of model of just having a place to collect things from outside and then having a place to put things from inside is basically like the most simple model that I've managed to continue to use over time relatively consistently.
Can I insert things into the database through a command, or do I have to manually do it via like dragging and dropping?
Insert things like
I'm
what
just looking
kind?
at because one of the things that happens when you start using something at the scale. Well, let me just show you the Trello thing that I use because it will make a bit more sense. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to see if I share it. Um, yeah, this is going to show you a Notion thing, which I'll just load the right thing into. So this is the Trello board that I use on my daily
Okay.
basis. So this is my Blitz board, and it has all the things that I'm working on at the moment. And the
Yep.
lists are non-trivially short. I probably this put it this way: this list here is
Hmm.
everything that happened yesterday. So I use it quite
Right.
intensely, and then I have this many-ish lists. Yeah, that
So it
many lists.
becomes like a log,
Yeah, no,
like
this is, yeah, so this is
an
the things that are
activity
on,
log.
this is forward-looking things that I am about to do and things that I just did, and then I have a archive when basically every day that I'm, at the end of every day, I throw the burn pile for that day into that log, so I have a history in it. Um,
Okay. So the burn pile, you take the burn pile and put it somewhere. You put it into this first catalog or
yeah, and I just
Blitz
throw it into here. So
history.
this is just a separate board. It's gonna reload in a sec.
Gotcha.
Finish loading. Finish loading. There
You
you go.
kind of it's the that's the archive basically.
This is the archive. So the archive is just a board that happens to only have burn piles in it. And
Yeah.
if you look at the very bottom, the bottom left, where it has ZZZ or ZZZ,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So every quarter I start a new Blitz history that is just
Okay.
full of all of the dailies for that thing. And I've been doing this for 8 years now, so I have.
Yeah.
If I scroll down, you'll see there's quite a lot of them. There we go. Quite a lot of them. Um,
And this is
then
the
yeah,
free version of Trello. You're making pretty extensive use.
yeah. I think I might be paying for it just because I have more boards than you're allowed to have on the free version. But I
Oh,
think I'm paying
okay.
for it like $10, or I think I paid them $100 a year or something.
Like the
Which, given how much
baseline.
I rely on the tool, is just fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but so there's the basics of the tool, and then I have built all these buttons along the top, up the top where it's got report and then a bunch of numbers and report string placeholders. These are all add-ons that I've written with little user scripts that basically do things like the report. This is what this does
Oh,
is it just looks through all the cards on the board, adds them into categories based on a prefix, and then gives me a summary of how many points I have on that card. And you'll see that some of the cards have like square brackets at the end of them with a number.
yes.
Yeah, that's just story
Yeah,
point
like
type thing. So that's basically my guess at how long this task is going to take. Or how
Okay,
many
so this
points?
is
How
you're
many
using
points is
this
this
to
task
roughly
worth?
estimate
Yeah,
the
it's
amount
not
of work.
really about estimating so much as it is about letting me reward myself, or make bigger tasks have more of an impact than smaller tasks.
Yeah, yeah.
So very roughly, a
A little bit of
task gets 1
gamification.
point if it's 15 minutes long or less. If it's 15 to 30, it's 2 points. 30 to 45, 3 points, and then there's just 1 point per 15 minutes kind of thing. But
Yep.
then there's a bunch of sort of auxiliary things that can get added onto the top of something. So if a task takes an hour, then it's going to get 4 points. But if it also happens to be an exercise task, it gets 2 bonus points from a different place, and I just pull them out. And it's just a thing that I've evolved over time that works quite well
Yeah.
for me.
Personally,
But the problem is, as you can see, there are many cards on this board.
Yeah.
And I rely very heavily on some built-in UI they have for doing things like move all the cards in this list to that list, or copy paste this list that I've made in a text editor and make a card for every line in the list. Those kinds of things are extremely important, and they're the reason I haven't switched to Planka, for example. Which, like, Planka is, I'll show it to you. It's a Planka's open source. It's basically just open source Trello, right? It looks just like Trello. It's open source, but you can run it locally, and it doesn't have, because Trello has a lot of things where it tries to sort of load stuff on demand and integrate with other tools and all sorts of crap that just slows the page down. So this doesn't have any of that crap, which means that it's likely to be much, much, much more efficient. And it's also something I can run on my own server and on my own environment, so I have the ability to tinker with it a lot more. But there we go. Interesting. Why are you not getting an updated version of it? Can you just get the Google results, right?
Yeah, I'm still looking at the Google search page.
Oh, every time I click on the link in Google, it takes me to a new tab.
Oh, yeah.
That's just that's the thing. I don't love it. Yeah.
It's not just going directly. There it is.
There it is. Yeah, so it looks a lot like Trello, but it's missing a couple of these sort of automated things where I can say, copy into the add another card, a list, and have it create a lot of cards for me. Is a thing that's not yet there.
Yeah.
But it's open source and all of that, so I could just take it and tweak it if I want, which I haven't done yet, but I could.
Yeah.
So anyway, scrolling all the way back up the stack to talking about this project. I don't really.
Right, you were making a Trello board.
I have made a Trello board. I've sent you a share for it. I'm going to go ahead and share it here as well, just in case that's useful. Had to see you there. I put poppies in the background because why not? But I actually don't like that picture of poppies because it's got too much crap on the foreground, so I need to change it. These are important details.
They definitely are.
I'm into flowers in a big way. I grow lots of different types of poppies, so I have opinions about the type of poppy that's
I
depicted.
actually, when I was going through Code Fellows, my my idea for like a different calendar format ended up looking very similar to like a Trello board. But where each day was essentially a stack of tasks and events, and you just scrolled forward or backward in the timeline that way.
Nice. Yes, this one. Okay, here we go. Different picture of a poppy. So we got to think that there's some stuff that we need to do. We need to come up with a name for this thing. I think we should keep it simple, but we need something just so we can name it something.
There needs to be an indicator.
Yeah, just something. So we need that. I'll make this board real simple. To do, doing, done.
We actually, we need to actually start a queue of people that we intend to reach out to.
So let's say build initial 10
guest list
of 10 guests.
Yeah.
10 is a perfectly reasonable target. Test out StreamYard. Streaming
is done.
Test streaming to StreamYard. Sorry, to Twitch
This is going to be a podcast about starting a podcast.
I mean, the first this is kind of what this is at the moment. Set up accounts, set up and accounts on
I'm
Twitch.
actually going to change.
So we have a thing for
edit
that.
name for this.
On accounts, so channels, really channel, not account on YouTube. Because so does Twitch let you have channels that are owned by multiple people, like have multiple admins or whatever? I know on YouTube you create a channel and then you can share the administration between multiple people.
Yeah, you should be able to. My current one is not set up that way.
just because making people log in and out of their personal account to a shared account is less good than having it be owned by multiple people. So I might change that task to set up channel on Twitch. It's not an account.
Yep, set up channel for YouTube and for Twitch.
Yeah, I've got those as two separate things: Twitch and YouTube.
Do you have any interest in streaming to any other platforms, like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram?
I have interest in those things, but I am more interested in getting something going than I am in streaming to all possible platforms, because it seems to me to be easy to say, hey, and now we're streaming to blah, blah, blah as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, particularly because, the first few of these are going to be very much just us and friends tinkering and having fun. And if this ever gets any kind of traction, then we start to care about how do we present it more broadly. And we're better off waiting till then to be public about it, I think.
Yep. All right.
We probably need to pick stylings, by which I mean music, graphics, etc.
Yep.
That's a very broad blob of things. But there's a bunch of those sorts of things that we.
There's a lot of things contained within that space of concern.
So we're going to need some kind of music. I don't mind. I do not mind us choosing music now that we then change 3 episodes in. And in fact, I think I'd rather just accept that we're going to do that so that we can make a choice sooner rather than later than sit around trying to find the perfect thing.
Wait, so say that again. Choosing music rather.
Yeah, you need some kind of intro music and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And I figured that whatever we use at the beginning is open to be changed after a few once we've sort of done it.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be stuck forever.
Though it does seem to be the case that once people get stuck with these things, they're stuck with them. Like many podcasts are stuck with the thing that they've had for 10 years.
I mean, like the Radio Lab intro was a thing for a very long time. I think they've changed it. Actually, if you go and listen to new Radio Lab episodes, they're still using the same one. That's like
you're listening to Radio Lab.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Shorts. Shorts. Do they have the shorts one still?
Shorts. I'm not
so
sure.
It used to be back in the day. I don't know if they're doing it so much these days, but back in the day, they would also release cut down versions of some. Sorry, you know how the full episode has like 3 or 4 stories in it. They would release individual episodes as a story, sometimes with a bit of extra content. But then they would call those Radio Lab shorts, and they had the same intro except near the end, where it says "You're listening to Radio Lab," and before it sort of petered out, they would inject a small child yelling the word "shorts."
Shorts.
Shorts. So yeah.
I love everything that they do.
So
the Aphantasia episode I just mentioned also is a really good one. I just listened to that yesterday.
I'll get to it.
I will send that over.
Have I downloaded it? Have I told you about my podcast consuming
your
tools?
podcast workflow or
digest. I mean, I have a workflow for everything, right? But no, for podcasts, I am generally dissatisfied with listening to podcasts via a streaming platform, because they don't let me manage things in the way that I want. And I have how many podcasts are in my queue of things that I'm actually listening to that I have not dropped? Crap. So 5 there. Yeah, I have currently got 45 podcasts in my queue of things that I'm downloading and synchronizing. And then I've got another 10 or 15 things that I've either abandoned or said, actually, I'm not going to bother.
Okay.
So of those, I won't listen to all of them because, I mean, there's time. But the point is that there are a large number of them, and managing them through Spotify or something like that becomes painful fast. Particularly because some podcasts I'm like 3 years behind on, or actually, let's see
Right.
what I'm really behind on. I have the thing that I'm most behind on is I'm not behind on that. That's just they haven't released anything since 2012. Thing that I'm the most behind on of my currently active things is I'm getting close to being up to date on IQ2 US, meaning that I'm still in 2015. But I'm listening to those at the moment. I'll be at the end of 2016 in about a week or two.
IQ2 Intelligence Squared
Yep.
US.
Yep.
Okay. I have not been listening in on that podcast for a while. I think we mentioned it a
It's pretty
couple
good.
conversations ago.
I don't always
But
like the debate topics because they do tend to be very current eventsy, and I often end up skipping
yeah.
those, but they are on whole quite interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't use any of these streaming platforms. And the other thing is, I want all my podcasts. I want them to be in a consistent bit rate. I want them to be smallish files, and I want them to be sped up to the speed that I want them to in advance, so I don't have to rely
By
on whatever
default.
tool I'm using on the day. Yeah, so I wrote a piece of software years ago that maintains a database of podcasts that
Okay.
then goes off, pulls all the files down for me, runs them through FFmpeg to adjust them into the format that I want. So they're all
Yeah.
mono. I always render them down from stereo to mono, and then I
Interesting.
accelerate them to 1.5 times, and then I make sure the bitrate is consistent. And it saves me piles of
Why render? Or are you rendering them down to mono to save space?
It's just because I have so many of them. Like I've got
Okay.
how many of them are in my database, actual individual episodes here. I got 15,500 episodes in my database, and I don't really want to waste that much disk space on it.
Yep.
No, it's also though because it's not so relevant these days, but there was a point in time where my phone didn't have that much space on it. Like my current phone has 256 gig in it, so really it doesn't matter. But my previous phone was like 8 gigabytes, and when I load up all the podcasts for the next couple of months, that would be eat a gig or two of space, and it was not great. So I think I did it for that purpose as well.
It's interesting that you listen to podcasts at 1.5 speed. I listen to audiobooks usually at 1.5 to 2 times speed, depending on how fast the actual narrator is.
Yeah, it's generally for me. It's 1.5 by default, maybe a bit faster if the person talks slow. But I don't listen ultra fast because I tried ultra fast for a while and I can listen to it at that, but I find that I don't have the time to think about it if I do that.
Yeah, you do. It goes by so quickly. You're just kind of like hanging on for the ride, and you don't absorb as much. But for some reason I don't listen to podcasts typically sped up. And I don't know if that's maybe because the conversation format feels more like it's a natural conversation rhythm usually, or a more natural one. So by default I hadn't tried speeding them up.
Yeah.
Maybe I could save some time doing that,
always listened to them at high speed because when I first started getting into podcasts in 2005, 2006, I did some futz around with some tools to make it so that things were running fast, and I kind of just got used to it, and therefore I have always done it that way, and it's sort of just become the thing. So you know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Okay, so if we jump back to the Trello board, we've got.
So let's finish up. So pick music. We need some kind of music. We know we need some kind of music. Yeah. What it is. Graphics wise, the sort of thing I was thinking there is we want some kind of background image.
Yep. Let's see. Well, we can pick a theme color here as a starting point.
In StreamYard.
Yeah, that's an easy enough thing. You can see that kind of pops up next to our.
That's the color of the
video players. And it's up. Well, no. We can put. So that's something we can do. We can do like a logo up here where the StreamYard logo is. And then for our actual name colors, whenever we want these up, they don't have.
I've written down make a logo because we'll want that eventually. I figure the way we will actually sort of publish this is that we will, for some period of time, just do them as live streams and gather them up into a form that can be podcasted, and then we will start releasing them on some schedule based on that. We presumably want to have a bit of a backlog before we start pushing them out, just so we're not, getting in trouble.
Yeah, so you're not under the gun to make the next one within a certain within
Yeah.
a tight
Like
timeline.
CGP Grey and Brady, when they did their Hello Internet one, they did like I think 15 or 20 episodes before they started
Mm,
releasing them, and then they set it up to release once every 2 weeks, and that gave
yeah,
them,
which is not.
however.
I mean, it's not an issue at all if you're not doing stuff that is. If you're just doing evergreen content, it's not something that is timely current events like latest things that have happened in this particular.
Yeah, I mean, you can use current events to trigger a conversation, but I think talking about the latest politics and the latest news is not really something I'm that interested in anyway.
No.
Because I don't know. One thing I learned from that podcast to those guys was a thing CGP Grey complains about. He just doesn't listen to the news at all because he feels like the news is a thing that he has
Yeah.
no control over and just gets him riled up. And so he tries to avoid current events, and
Yep.
because he can do nothing about it. And I'm like, I kind of get that. Doesn't mean I stop
I
reading the
mean,
news, but I kind of get it.
I get it. I fluctuate. Sometimes I am like keeping it on arm's length and still monitoring what's going on, and then I go through periods where I just completely am like I'm not gonna absorb that right now.
For me, it's my form
I
of
don't
doom
want it.
scrolling. Right, people
Yeah.
get caught into social media. I get caught into the New York Times, and I don't want to because I'm not really getting very much out of it most of the time. But
Right.
no,
Like
I want something.
what is the benefit for you of of absorbing that content
Yeah,
on a regular
exactly.
basis?
And absorbing the emotions associated with it because
Yeah.
I do not need things in my life that get me upset. If I
Yeah.
can't do anything about it, I don't need to know it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
if it's
mean, if
relevant
there
to a decision I'm making, that's a different matter. But if it's just like Putin or Trump said something incendiary, I kind of that's just going to get me annoyed. Um, years
like
ago,
is
I
there
go on.
can I go vote tomorrow? No? Well, all right.
Yeah, no, I don't get to vote here, so America doesn't let
Uh,
residents vote, which is not as normal. Well, a lot of countries do let
oh
residents
shit.
vote. America does not.
Wait, that's right. Because so you are New Zealand citizen, but not American
I'm a
citizen.
citizen of New Zealand and a citizen of Norway.
Yeah.
I'm resident
Of
in the US.
Norway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that through your dad
So my mum.
or your mom? Okay.
My
Oh,
last name is Norwegian looking because my
yeah.
father's got a tiny bit of Swedish blood, and it just happens to be spelled in a more Norwegian way, as I'm told. But yeah, my name is very very much that part of the world.
But as a resident, I mean, how long are you actually able to be in the States at a time without having to reapply
Permanent,
for?
it's permanent residency. I can stay as long as I like.
Okay. What?
Yeah,
I mean, at that point, it's like, what? when when does the citizenship path actually open up?
yeah. You can. I can apply for citizenship at any time if I want it.
Okay.
I just have not.
Mm,
Historically, my reasoning has been along the lines that U.S. citizenship comes with permanent US interest in my tax status. The US is one of the few
yep.
countries that claims universal tax jurisdiction, so they want me to
Yep.
pay tax on income in any country.
Yep.
Now you can take as a deduction from that your tax paid in that country, but they still want you to do the thing. And I have not
Yeah.
historically wanted that on my list of things to worry about. But the reality is that as a tax resident, I have to do that anyway. So as a US resident, I have to do that anyway while I'm here. And to stop doing
Right.
that, I would have to renounce residency, which would put me in a situation where getting residency again could be complicated.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I
Like
went to New Zealand
once
for
you've
2 years,
passed that threshold, it's a little bit easier to hold on
yeah,
to than it is to kind of go
it
back.
becomes easier. If I want to say, hey, I'm going to go live in Europe for a year and come back
Mm.
to the US, I could do that with a citizenship. I could not do that with a residency because I need to reapply for residency.
Oh, okay. So if you're
Residency comes
away
with a
for a
requirement
certain amount of time,
that I don't leave for more than X months at a time.
oh, that's interesting. Because
And I'm not quite
because
sure
like
how long it is, but it's some number.
when I went abroad for almost a year, it wasn't a full year, but I was in Brazil for a while, and then Thailand, and then in Europe, in various places before I came back, like 11 months later. Um, and I had to go through a more extensive process to get back in through customs than usual, but I didn't even realize that would be significantly different for like if you have a residency, you actually have a time limit that you can stay away for that to be
Yeah,
valid.
Yeah, they're basically more than 6 months, and they consider you to have disrupted the continuity of residence. You can apply for a permit that lets you go out for longer, and then it's like out 2 years. But at some point, if I want to be hopping back and forth and spending significant times outside the US and still be able to come back, I will need to.
Yeah.
I would at that point need to get citizenship, which I just haven't done.
Yeah.
But
Are you allowed to maintain citizenship in the US and to other
my
countries?
understanding is that at no point does anyone force you to renounce citizenship in someone else.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've talked to various people who've gone through the process, and that's generally the case. Like, they ask you to swear allegiance to the nonsense, but
only the United States, or
yeah, no, it's above all others is the way they use it with the words. I think they use. But the reality is they don't actually do anything to take your existing citizenships away, and it's best just to not rub it in anyone's noses. It's one of those things where you don't really. Governments don't love people having multiple citizenships, but they can't really stop you from having it, because it's just they're not involved. They're just not involved in the other side of it.
Yeah, it's like it's not their pool of influence on the other side. Mm-hmm. Like it's by definition outside of their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So jumping back to the Trello board again, we said make a logo, pick some music. Also, I'm trying to think of some other things that we might want to think about. I mean, maybe this falls into the branding or that sort of thing, but a website is a consideration at some point.
Yep.
Or a place that you can go to.
Well, we need something to post the podcasts on, or host the thing, right?
Right. It's a persistent spot where all of the episodes, live online, or at least are embedded, linked to. That's the thing. From like a background perspective, I think it would be useful to go through an exercise to kind of maybe brainstorm or like collect some ideas on just what kind of stuff are you interested in actually talking about, bringing people on.
We did a bit of that at the lake, right? We did some things. So I just wrote down define scope, which I think is the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I put that in doing because we've been having a conversation. So I think we've already defined format.
We can connect. Yeah, we can connect that scope to some of those 10 guests that we pull in first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very open-ended on scope. For me, it's less a matter of we want to focus on this, and more a matter of we want to do anything that's in this broad field, except possibly these things here, because they seem like something we're not interested in, or seem problematic for some reason. I don't know what those might be, but that kind of I'm more interested in open, wide-ranging conversations than I am in narrow, focused conversations.
Yeah. Are you? Because we are streaming to Twitch, it's something that obviously is relevant to that platform. Have you ever done any streaming like while playing a game or hanging out in some sort of virtual environment or space?
I have not done it to the public, but I hang out and do game streaming with friends all the time.
Okay. I mean, is that a thing of interest?
I think it's a thing of interest. I don't think it's a primary thing. I don't think we want to be necessarily primarily streaming games or talking about that. But I think talking about games and game culture and virtual worlds and all of that sort of stuff is totally part of it. A thing I often tell people is that I have never worked on a project that has not eventually involved games. And by eventually, I mean I regularly start on projects that are not games related, but by the time we're done with them, there's a game in there somewhere.
They
always show up.
Somehow it comes back. Think of anything else we're kind of forgetting here.
So I will try and write some stuff down about just to get some initial ideas out on scope, just to get out of my head.
Okay. So these live streams are being captured automatically. Is there any further? I think we talked about just trying to stay away from doing much editing or anything like that. But are you interested? Do you think it would be useful to do like clips from these?
Yeah, I think
at a point where we're actually interested in marketing this more.
Yeah, I think the sorts of editing that we would want to be doing let's say in the first year of this is
Yeah.
editing out pointless crap in
Yeah.
large chunks, by which I mean you had to go to the door and you spent 5 minutes talking to a political person who came to your door, whatever, anything like that, or I spent 5 minutes in the bathroom. No
A
one needs that.
Jehovah's Witness
We throw that.
showed
We just
up
throw,
in
we throw that shit away. That's not interesting. So I think you edit that out, and then
Yeah.
either you just edit it out such that it was never clear that it was there for the podcast, or if it's a video, you edit it out and just stick a card and say, and then 10 minutes later, or whatever. The point, there's lots of different ways of editing it. So
Yeah. The
editing out
Scientologist
in a
stuff
large
I-
chunk. Yeah. But the idea would be it's only removing large chunks. It's not doing things like going through the conversation and saying, well, this sentence was interesting, but that sentence was not. I think that type
Yeah,
of
we're not. So it's not adjusting timing or rhythm of discussions. and
No,
whatnot.
yeah. Well, I mentioned the conversation as a podcast that I quite enjoyed, and their model was the guy went in, they had these conversations, and they recorded 3 or 4 hours of audio, and then afterwards someone would go through and cull back the audio to a 30 minute to 45 minute episode, and they really were
Yeah.
trying to just distill it down into the most important stuff, and that's not
That's a lot.
that's a lot of work for, I think,
It's a lot of work.
gain. And I think it also disrupts the flow of it being feeling like a conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like I mean, it's not really important unless you're really trying to have a focused discussion about something specific,
Yeah.
or like a collection of topics.
well,
Like,
I could imagine us, for example, saying we're going to interview a person who works in the games industry, and we end up spending 20 minutes in the middle talking about cheese, and it's just nothing to do with what's going on in there. I could imagine us deciding to remove that because we decide it's irrelevant. But then on the other hand,
Yeah.
I could imagine us saying, no, that was an interesting conversation about cheese. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, I would err on the side of leaving that in, but
Yeah.
then taking snippets from conversations like that and posting them separately as a short form
Yeah.
or like focused form content that is distilled from the main
And so that's
stuff.
the other sort of editing that I think is worth, which is where you're basically taking bite-sized chunks out and using them for promotional purposes, or it's kind of like how a lot of YouTube channels these days have like the primary longish form content, and then they
and then they do a short.
snippets to set up shorts. It's kind of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're doing it primarily because it gets them views and because YouTube encourages them to, but they're not actually creating content specifically for that format.
Yeah. No, not from a marketing perspective, and I don't even think any of this is like worthwhile up front. But after you get a good backlog of things, and if we're interested in continuing to expand things out more, I think you have a conversation with someone who's particularly well known on a particular topic, and there's a lot of meat from that discussion. Basically creating something that is some snapshots into that discussion, and then that is not 30 seconds, but maybe like a 5-10 minute.
You're
subset.
basically saying pulling out a special episode, so to speak. Like, here are some special points that came from previous conversations, edited into something. Yeah. I think there are cases for that, but I think it's the distinction I would make is that's a thing that we do if we feel a specific need or a specific opportunity, and we say, that would be cool.
Case by
Let's do
case.
it. Yeah, as opposed to feeling like we have to regularly do this. Because the thing I want to avoid is setting ourselves up with regular expectations that result in us making no progress.
Yeah. No, low friction.
Yeah, low
friction to making new episodes is important here.
Yeah, the goal here, as I've said before, is for us to have fun having conversations with interesting people that somehow we get out there, somehow make available to other people. Having interesting conversations with interesting people in a live stream format, that's just great. And we can build on that and do more elaborate things on a case-by-case basis, but not feeling that we have to do that is important.
Yeah. So, I mean,
another thing might be to talk about backgrounds, because I'm sitting on bed right now.
This is true. Do you plan to have like a specific spot that you're doing this from, or
I will, if we're recording for real usage, I would probably set myself up in front of some bookshelves and things. Of course, I've mentioned that I have the studio space that I'm perennially trying to do something about. And once
like
that's set up,
in town or at
no,
the house?
we got this second building that the downstairs of which I want to set up turn into a studio for myself. Basically, it's a much bigger space than my existing office, and I want to set it up with like my office space, some social space, a little kitchenette space, and then I'll probably set up a bit with a backdrop for this sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have a good bookshelf behind me with all my stuff, but right now it's like spread out between the ones that are stacked on the table that are on that center console, and I don't have a good consistent background at the moment. I guess there's also the boat. I do have a bookshelf there.
Yeah, I don't think it's ultra important that we have an amazingly good background, because the thing is we're going to be having conversations with other people who have not necessarily set up their backgrounds.
Right.
And we don't want to sort of make them look like fools. Right, like if we have ultra produced things and then they're just sitting in their living room, that will always create a weird dynamic. Might not be obvious to people, but it'll be there.
Nope, I definitely agree. Yeah, and the goal here is not making something that's like a hyper polished Radio Lab type thing.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So I think a little bit of a casual thread there will be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's a big deal.
Talk to me about the game streaming stuff. Have you done much of that?
I've done a little bit. I not to the point where I built up a consistent audience that I was then engaging with and doing, like the little dropping in tokens into chat and getting donations like real time for doing different things. It wasn't performative like that. It was more just let's document something that myself and some other friends are jumping onto this multiplayer session or whatever, and people that I did recognize over time would start to come in and watch every now and then. And I did sometimes grab, like, if you had a particular notable highlight from that stream that was just really funny or an awesome moment, you could snip that out and post that as a separate.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Thing.
No idea. Yeah, no, I've always thought about that might be a fun thing to do. I really like it for games that have a building or creative element to them, particularly if you can do it with someone else saying, "Hey, do this thing, do that thing." Some of my most fun games of things like Mindustry. Have you played Mindustry before?
Mindustry? No, I haven't.
It's. Are you familiar with Factorio?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's structurally very similar to Factorio in the sense that it's a grid world, like rectangular grid world on which you build factories with conveyor belts, and you move resources around, and you build guns that shoot monsters and that sort of thing. Except where Factorio is primarily about optimizing very complex factories, Mindustry is a bit more minimalist on the factory side, although it's still plenty complicated, and much more focused on the building up bases and doing tower defense type stuff. Yeah. So it's the things that are attacking you are much more aggressive, and there's a lot more of them, and it also has base attack type modes. So it's a game that's much more about that side of things. But it's
about the contention between
there's a lot more
building up your base and being assailed.
Well, one of the things you can do in Ministry is you use your factories to build units, and those units then create things that you can control to go off and raid an enemy base. And so there's a real-time strategy element to it as well. So when I played it with my friend Gareth, what often ends up happening is I end up focusing on factory optimization, because that's my particular nerdery, and my factory produces units which he then uses to dismantle the enemy base.
I really like the term nerdery. That's
nerdery, yes. Everyone has some kind of nerdery.
My personal nerdery.
Yep. I make it worse.
So I mean, I also was experimenting with this kind of thing because my particular circles of friends over time have always had some sort of common thread in a server world game like Minecraft for a while, where you could start up your own and then just invite whoever you wanted into it. So we're doing Minecraft servers for a long time. And so we'd just be building all kinds of things in there and experimenting with different mod packs that would allow you to create entire factories and industrial sites with everything from like creosote smelters and like different kinds of engines, and you could build like flying machines.
Have you ever seen this game here, Eco?
Eco, I think so. I haven't played it, but I recognize.
No, I really want to play this at some point. It's essentially Minecrafty in many ways, but it's very much more focused on some simulating complex and interesting systems around ecology and politics and this and that.
Because they're using a similar kind of voxel
Yeah, it's a very
ultimately
very
smooth
it's
environment.
the early versions look a lot like Minecraft with a pollution simulation added on top, but they have made it much more than that. The guy
The
who
world
runs
can erode.
the guy who runs the company who makes it is he's part 601. So he shows up at 601 from time to time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So he's local here to
he's in Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, John Krasuski or something.
Okay.
I've talked to him a couple of
Let's
times,
see.
but I haven't really played it. I haven't really played it enough to feel like I want to have a detailed conversation about the game with him,
Yeah.
because my lack of having played it will become apparent.
Just haven't invested that much time. There was a game that seemed kind of similar to this that was called Tug that had a huge Kickstarter a while back. Oh, hey. Um, it's called Tug, and it was literally the untitled game, but you built up a character that you kind of you trained up over time, and then you had all kinds of base building and survival and resource gathering elements. Um, and then you could train and breed different kinds of animals and organisms and just build out a whole settlement surviving in this world. But it was kind of like a smooth voxel aesthetic where you could dig through the landscape and create a tunnel, kind of
Yeah,
arbitrarily placed.
it looks like it
I
died at
don't.
some point a few years ago.
It did a
Yeah.
long time ago. I think it was just too ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, Eco is one of those things that it's surprising to me that they were able to get it as far as they have, given the type of thing it is and all
Yeah.
that. I'm currently playing.
Another
Oh,
one
yeah,
that I come back to fairly often still is Valheim, just because
yeah,
they
Valheim's awesome. I have made a decision to
yeah.
not play Valheim until they finish the Frozen North,
I know.
because I'm sick of fucking waiting. um,
That
uh,
or like remaking or restarting old worlds that get a broken compatibility or when there's a
yeah,
big
I don't
update.
want to touch it until I can
Yeah,
play the whole damn thing. I have played it enough to know that I love it, but I don't want to
yeah,
spend any more time until that happens. Um,
yeah.
have you
So
played much
that
of
would be
the
a candidate whenever they do finish Ash or the full Ashlands release and the what was the last one?
Frozen North? Was the last one. The
Frozen
Ashlands
North.
release is out now. They did the Ashlands
Yeah,
release
so
in
that
the last few weeks.
yeah, that one just came out. There, let's see. There's some other.
Hey, what
Oh,
did you
I
think
mean,
of
this is
Noita? I haven't played
Noita
it
is
yet.
a lot of
I
fun.
watched all the videos. I thought this is so cool. I'm so excited, but I haven't played it yet.
It's really interesting. I mean, I've never seen like a pixel-based game or a pixel retro art style game like this that is so heavily physics-based in the way that the world sort of erodes and you get like if you take acid and pour it on the ground, it actually creates a crater
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sort of
Have you
procedurally
ever did
digs
you ever
down.
see this was a web-based game that was been out for 20 plus years called Powder Game. It is very much what Noit is based on. So it was a particle simulation
Uh,
of I mean go have a look at the thing and poke around it.
you said powder game?
Oh, I put a link into this is on there top there. The top one's the one I know. The Yeah.
Oh,
So you can basically draw on the map any type of material, and
okay.
by default, you're drawing powder. Powder is short for gunpowder. So if you draw
Yeah.
powder and draw some other stuff on there, and then light it on fire, it will explode. And the
Okay. Whoa. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're dealing with all these different pixel properties.
yeah, so it's a pixel based
Huh.
pixel based physics simulator, but it has a lot of interesting things to it. It's currently showing the blues and greens, so the reds and greens that you're seeing are a pressure simulator that's running on it, so you can sort of see where, and that's what's causing the currents of
Cell laser.
stuff around.
Yeah.
So you can see anyway that this is where Noita really draws a lot of
Yeah,
its early inspiration from. This was around. I used to teach this actually.
absolutely.
I taught a course. I designed and taught a course years ago called Games Appreciation, which was about getting students to think about games more critically, more seriously, that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And this was one of the ones that we touched on that.
that is really cool.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
real neat.
whoa. That
Yeah, it
is
has like you can put vines, you can put trees that grow. There's an
Yep.
acid thing. all that stuff.
No, this is, I mean, this is exactly what I really enjoyed about Noita is that it had this kind of dynamic world generation. The thing that I actually that I think I would spend a lot more time playing Noita if it wasn't this single linear journey where I mean, I know each like world level is procedurally generated, so they're never exactly the same, but
Yeah,
you kind of progress from level to level and keep going further and further into the game, and then at some point you beat it. Um, but there, I just really wanted to be able to just explore, continue to explore a space like this with many different biomes. Something like Terraria is actually a good example of that, but it doesn't
yeah.
have
Terraria is
the
another one of my
world
favorite
physics.
games. I love that thing.
Yeah, Terraria is a really cool example of that kind of world. So if Noita kind of gave you or worked on the procedural world generation using those same kinds of physics, like that would be my perfect side scroller.
Yeah,
This is not great. Yeah, which I mean that's just 2D Minecraft basically. But I just this is so I love what they were doing here, and that's really cool to see that there's
I
actually
just
some
realised that
actual depth.
I've got fireworks on the ground with lava, a big pile of fireworks on the ground with lava next to them. The lava is activating the fireworks one by one, which is firing crap up into the air. But then the crap that gets fired up into the air catches fire from the fireworks next to it, creating these two spinning vortices. Just completely.
Oh man. Wait a minute. So if I put a bunch of water down here and then I put what is this? A fan, wind, air. Wait, how does that? Oh, you can't actually see the air. That's interesting. Or a cloud. So clouds just have kind of float. Um, and then if we do fireworks, so
C4
those
is a
are
lot of fun.
C4.
Yeah.
Oh geez. Does it blow up at some point? Or do you
Yes, it
have to
does.
like trigger it with some fire?
It blows up quite substantially. What's Mercury
Okay,
do?
so
He's added all sorts of things that were not in here when I played this last.
if I
Bomb. What's
contain all
how is
this
a
gas
bomb
within a
is
vine structure.
destructive as opposed to just laser?
Oh, there's birds. That's cool.
Birds.
Okay, so now I have like a gas chamber inside of a vine structure.
Where are the birds?
And then if we put
Ants.
a spark.
The ants don't do well if you drop them in the lava. I'll tell you that much.
So
Oh, now
then
that is
fire.
fascinating because those birds are following a flocking algorithm, which is a
Right.
notorious
There
pain in the ass to do.
that
Uh,
is really cool. They're like doing the starling
yeah, they're doing the, it's doing the
what is
so
that
that
called?
algorithm's a real pain in the ass to do because
Murmurations.
murmurations. It's a pain in the ass because every particle needs to know about every other particle in order to run its
Right.
algorithm. Oh, my
How do
bird's
they
just
do
caught
with some
fire. One of the
wind?
murmurations got too close to the lava,
Oh no.
and so one bird set the next bird on fire, etc., etc.
Oh, magma. That's what it's.
Magma. I'm sorry. There's magma as well as lava.
Apparently.
Oh, there's nitroglycerin as well.
Oh, there's a wall. There's actually, let's see. Let's keep that there, and then we're gonna put magma inside of here. Oh God. Wow. That just destroyed everything.
What was it?
I had a big chamber full of gas, and I dropped some magma inside of it, and it blew up the vines containing everything and the entire bird bird swarm, and now there's just a swirling
I
cloud
just
of
sprinkled
gas.
gas in the air above the fire, above the lava, and eventually some of it made it down to touch the lava, and then the rest of the wood exploded. It's great.
So yeah, this kind of sort of light simulation is really, I would love to see more of this kind of thing in different games. Honestly, take this kind of idea and do it in a mixed reality game that is procedurally that allows you to interact with different materials on the actual geometry of your space.
I've always wanted to do something like that. I just need a way to justify the financial commitment of time. You know?
Yeah, but like we have the devices to at least experiment with that kind of thing now. It's just takes time. Um, okay, so yeah, Noita was one. What am I looking for now? It's back on my Steam library.
Steam, Dishonored, Godot. Classic Mass Effect. I'm planning to replay because I only really played the first
Oh
one.
yeah,
I'm planning to play Mass Effect Legendary sometime in the not too distant future.
Mass Effect. Oh, that was the recent one that
That's
came
the
out, not
remake. It's very
Andromeda.
shiny.
It's very shiny. It's just much higher or higher
They're
resolution.
just. I mean, all the Mass Effect's what 2007, 2008, something
Yeah,
like that.
it's pretty
So
old at
it's
this
just
point.
that much better.
Yeah, yeah,
Good old
yeah. There's
Terraria.
Terraria. Yeah, that. Age of Empires 3, I did play for quite a little while. Um, I think I did some live streams with Don't Starve. Have you ever
Mhm.
played that game?
I have not. I don't like the art style very much.
Yeah, the art, it's a little like crayon
Yeah,
scribble
I just had it. Just it's sort
2D
of. It's not that I just disapprove. I
isometric.
just never got into it. Euphoria is an interesting
Yeah.
game.
Euphoria is fun. I didn't play it for too long, but then again, it's not.
It's not
I mean,
designed for
well,
that. No.
yeah, 8 hours. But just the general idea. Again, it's like a procedural game with a lot of
What's your
built-in
Steam? What's your Steam
simulation behaviors.
username?
What's that?
What's your Steam username?
Gray Acolyte.
Either I have you and I haven't tagged you because I always try and write people's real names on their accounts because what happens. I have a lot of people on my Steam friends and I'm like, I don't know who this is anymore. That's certainly someone I know.
Their handles changed way too many times. Speaking of vintage art styles, Hyperlight Drifter is also
Oh, that
really
game's so
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I
I don't
just
I don't
love
love the
the
gameplay,
world.
but the
No,
world and the music style, the sound effects
yep,
are brilliant. There's a great
yeah.
GDC talk.
Disaster Piece
Yeah,
was
Disaster
the
Piece. Yeah,
composer for that. He did an amazing job on that.
yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love the art style and the feel of the world.
Yeah,
Um,
yep. That is a solid one.
I saw Thief there for
Uh,
a second.
Yep,
Good old
that
Conan.
that was the original one. So I played that and
Dark
had
Project,
really
but
high
that's not
hopes
no, that's not
for.
the original. That's actually the third one. Dark Project's the original.
Oh, Deadly Shadow. Wait a minute.
Deadly Shadows was the one that they did in 2003,
Is
2004.
this the? Oh, okay. So I haven't played the original.
Yeah, the
I
original
played
was
this
Thief:
one.
The Dark Project, was released in 1997 or 1998. It may be on
Okay.
Steam. I'm not actually certain.
Oh,
I played the original Thief, and then there was Thief, and then Thief 2, which was same kind of time period, so 98, 99. I played those a lot in 2000, 2001. I loved them. I loved them hard. I don't think I have you on here. So that Grey Acolyte with a Grey or Gray?
uh, you might. That's interesting. So Gray Acolyte is in my URL.
I just
Which
haven't found it on
actually,
my list. What's your
but it's currently my. This is why it's tricky. My handle right now is Trollsbane
yeah,
currently.
just click on that. I'll just send you a link that a link is in the StreamYard chat.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. I mean, I know this thumbnail because I've seen you use it in other places, but add
Oh,
as
the
friend.
the Joker. Yep.
Yeah. Uh oh,
I
did
just
that work?
I recently redid my profile to be more ridiculous looking and colorful.
Okay, did that work?
I don't know. They probably did. I just don't know how to get to the right place to process invites. Pending
I
invites.
wonder. Oh, it does have J on my profile. Yeah, I've got too many different. This is too many
Apple
different
Grey Acolyte.
names on here. What the hell? Yeah, I guess the games that I had played a lot most recently are this Warhammer 40K Darktide
Oh, there
and
we go. I found
Vermintide.
you. We are friends. It's just that it's presumably because it's called Charles Bands version. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I should change that.
Now I can judge
I
your
don't know if
collection. This is the most important part here. You played a lot of Skyrim.
I did play a lot of Skyrim. A lot of Skyrim and a
My
lot
my
of
my 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 game consumption is interesting in the sense that I don't think I have anything over 200 hours.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
that's yeah, Skyrim's way over that. To be honest, it's not even the main. It's not even the storyline. It's from just repeatedly picking it up again over the years and modding it a ton.
right. Yeah, the
Has
most I
been
have on
very good.
anything is Terraria on 180 at 180.6 hours.
Oh wow, that
But then
is
I have a lot of
yeah.
like,
I
but
definitely
then I
didn't
have
play Terraria that much.
but then my game library has, God, how many things? 1,924 games in it.
Wow, I have 232. So that's not
Yeah, no,
even.
I know one person. I know of one person who has more games in their library than me, and he has like 100 more games than me, but not a whole lot more.
So it's interesting. Yeah, Vermin. I did play a lot of Vermintide. Also, this game Mount and Blade. Did you ever come across that?
I played it briefly in its early in its evolution, but I never really played it much beyond that.
Yeah, the first one, I mean I played quite a bit, nearly 100
Because yeah, there
hours.
was then they had Warband, right? Mountain Blade.
Yeah, then Warband came out and it was just kind of better graphics but very similar mechanics. Um, it was just kind of an updated version.
Yeah.
Um, but there were really good mods for Mountain Blade. There was this one called Prophecy of Pendor where someone had created an entire new campaign and world
Uh-huh.
that had totally different factions and more like a more fantasy oriented story. It's kind of like a Middle Earth in Mountain Blade.
Yeah,
And
like the original one
I
wasn't very heavy on having a plot. It was very
no,
much it was very sandboxy, and I played it and I experienced the sandbox, and I moved on, and I never really went back.
yeah, yeah. So
I tend to
that
be very big on a game on needing games that have some kind of um, passage through them, like a plot or a progression that is going to engage me.
yeah. Well, so for that example, Fallout 3, did you ever play that?
I did not play Fallout 3. I played Fallout 1 and 2, and I loved them.
Oh,
Uh,
so you did the
I
originals.
played Fallout Tactics back in the day, but I never really got into
Uh,
Fallout 3 just because not because of anything other than I just never got around to it.
yeah. That was one game where I mean, even though it's a Bethesda game, so it is very much an open world game. Um, the central narrative thread that you're going on
Yeah.
actually kept me playing pretty consistently on that line until I finished it, which for me is pretty rare. I usually like, if it has a pretty good story, it can hook me in. But usually, if it's an open world, I'll just kind of throw that off and
I
end up
like I like
sandboxing for a
open
long time.
world gameplay in the sort of in the GTA style mold. Not because I like GTA, because I actually don't, but the GTA is like the one which the place where a lot of open world gameplay kind of happened, which is that sure there's missions that are related to the plot, but then there's hundreds of other things that have their own
Yeah.
form of progress. And so I think of that as less being
Yeah.
it lacks progression, and more that it has progression, but there's lots of shattered progression. You have progression here and you have
Yeah.
progression there, and that's fine as open world. The things that I bounce off tend to be things which is there's no progression. It's just a sandbox. Build stuff, have fun. I tend to play them for a
Yeah.
while.
Well, you're talking about like it's a sandbox that's filled with sub narratives and threads to
Yeah,
pull
sub
on
narratives and threads
and go and
that works
follow.
for me. But if it's just actually just a sandbox, then I tend to get pulled out.
Yeah. Yep. With the exception of Minecraft. Um, that's kind
Well,
of.
actually, Minecraft never really did it for me for exactly that reason.
Oh, okay. Did you ever play with other people?
No, I played it a bit, but I never
Okay.
really got really deep into it.
Because for me, I never really played it by myself that much. I mean, I definitely picked it up early when I discovered it that way, but it had longevity for me because I spent the vast majority of time playing in persistent worlds with friends that would be
Yeah.
jumping in and out doing stuff.
Well, like Terraria is a game that has a certain level of similarity to these sorts of things, and that there is very much just go around, pick up stuff, make stuff. It's fun. But then it
Yeah,
has the thing that gets me interested in it as the thing that I would play on my own is the fact that there is progression by killing the bosses and by unlocking new
yeah,
stuff. And that
yep,
sort of keeps me going. And it's
yeah.
not that I
There's
always
a
go for these things. I'm just less likely to get to stick with something that doesn't have a purpose to it.
yeah. There's an independent progress mechanism in many different ways.
And a lot of it is just
Um,
there's so many games that I want to try. And so if something's not grabbing me, I'm probably going to get sucked into the next thing.
yep. Yep. I
Good old Assassin's
definitely.
Creed,
Yeah.
Stronghold.
So Assassin's Creed 2. That was my favorite
I have not
by
played
far.
many of them. I played probably 4 or 5 hours into Assassin's Creed 2, and I finished the first one. And Assassin's Creed 2 is next on my list for it of that type.
Yeah. I mean, if you're
Games.
going back and playing those, I really liked the original. I just before Assassin's Creed became what it is now.
Mhm.
Um, there I don't really remember any game that was really capturing that kind of archetype in that sort of way with these large open cities where you could just explore around and find all kinds of interesting things to
Yeah,
do.
that's the sort of open worldy type thing that was very novel in 2007, 2008.
Yeah. But like an open world rogue specifically. Um
Yeah,
I don't
right. Where
know.
you're
It
sneaking and
just hit on the
sneaking.
right thread for me when I was growing up. Um that and then Mirror's Edge also. I don't know how far down the list. Yeah,
There it
so
is.
that's right here. I did play through the story on that. It's not that long.
I actually
But
never got around to playing that one. I just never got to it. It's in my. I think I
it
own
has
it.
good music. It's got
Oh,
very good music.
that's a great reason to do things. It's
Yeah,
quite
like
inspirational.
that would be a good reason to just revisit or even just go listen to the soundtrack. But it's Solar Fields if you've ever come across them. I think they're UK based.
Let's go find out. Solar Fields.
Yeah.
I'm currently quite keen. Well, not currently. One of there's so many good. Let's not get sidetracked into music. There are so many good musicians out there.
Oh yeah. So that's actually that's a totally separate discussion and maybe an examination we could do in uh a future session
Yeah,
is look at music stuff because I am interested how you collect and organize your music.
yeah. I
Because
am
that
not
is
very. I'm weirdly unorganized on that. I used to be very organized back in
okay.
the day back in the days pre-streaming. I was
Yep.
very organized in that I had a big, massive collection of MP3s. I burned it. I it ripped every single CD and archived them. My friends and I back in New Zealand um, did our first CD, sorry, our first MP3 collection. We
Hmm.
ripped. Oh God, no, I don't know how many. Back in 1996, 19, no, 90, early 1997, we built a 5 CD collection of MP3s for parties, and it was
Hmm.
basically we just wandered around our friends, borrowed the CDs that were used to make mixtapes, that people were using to make mixtapes for parties, and then we made this collection of music that was common at parties that we would just have available for who was hosting the party, so you could have the music at the party. And like there's all CDs that we owned, so we didn't feel particularly bad about it. And honestly, it was predated Napster by like 3 or 4 years, so no one felt
Yeah.
bad about that side of it. It just wasn't on the thing, but it was
And we
very
hadn't developed
it was
cultural
very
skills
interesting as a
around
thing to do.
that yet.
Yeah, and getting all those burned to CD and distributing them, and it
Yeah.
took us several months to build the first collection. And the first collection, and the first collection may have just been 2 CDs or 1 CD or something like that. Um, it's one of the things I did with my first year at university that wasn't actually studying. Much like most of what I did in my first year at university, not actually
Yeah.
studying.
Yeah. I feel like I spent a lot of my first year university doing like meeting up with a group of parkour people
Oh,
and
nice.
just climbing all over buildings in the middle of the night. Like we would do it, we'd meet up around like 10 or 11 p.m. and then just go wander around campus.
Yeah, I mean that's. I am reading this is a little topical. I am currently reading um, Neil Stephenson's debut novel from
Oh,
1984, The Big U. So this novel is
oh,
something he did not. It was published at the time, of course,
mhm.
but it went out of print sometime a long time ago, like in the 90s or early 90s, something like that. And
Yeah.
he was not that proud of it, so he never really wanted them to put it back into print.
Never
But I guess,
renewed it.
yeah, I guess fans at some point in the not that distant past pushed him into making it available again. So I
Yeah.
have a copy of it and I'm rereading it, and it is it's kind of like a pastiche or a mural of what's the type of mural where you have lots of little bits and pieces from all over the place and you glom them together in like a
Like a
it's like a
mosaic
scrapbook. A mosaic. It's kind of more of a mosaic. I keep saying
or a
pastiche, and a pastiche is
collage.
kind of the right thing, but it's collage, that sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
basically a massive collection of vignettes about insane shit that happens inside a university. Only it's happening inside this. whacked out, crazy ass, massive university that exists as a single giant building that's like a cube that occupies multiple. Imagine if UW was like, you know, three
Oh
by
my
three
gosh.
city bots and was just a single building which included everything, including classes, laboratories, student accommodation, cafeteria, all in this massive building, and no one ever left because you didn't
Oh
need
wow.
to. And so it's all this whole self-contained thing full of madness, and all of the everything's played up to 11. And it's like the first half of the book is really just nonsense that gets involved. Everything from, you know, the wargaming club running rampant,
Yeah.
uh, some grad student building a mass driver, because I mean, why wouldn't you build a mass driver? Student politics, bad shit that goes down at parties, all of that. And then in the second half of the book, it seems, I'm only in the sort of in about halfway through the second half of the book, everything starts to get weird. So, you know, it's a very interesting book. I actually think it's a lot better than he gives it credit for. I think you have to go into it thinking of it not as a book that has a clear, distinct plot line that runs through it, even
Yeah.
though there is, but you have to think of it as being more of a collection of vignettes that paint a picture. And in that,
Mhm.
once you have that picture painted, then you start to see a trail.
You start to see the line.
You start to see a line, you start to see a journey going on in the picture. But it starts out as just being, you know, a 5 pages describing in rather evocative terms the experience of standing in line at the administrator's office trying to get one of your courses changed because the computer has decided that you need to do intro to English because you're an international student, even though you're an English major who's been doing English classes for the last 3 years, or whatever, you know.
It's
So
like
it's delightful.
sounds like one of those it's a narrative equivalent of one of those drawings in a like a Where's Waldo book where you have hundreds of different things going on and it's a sort of isometric view, so you can just get this perspective over an entire city square, and there's people just doing all kinds of different things simultaneously,
It's exactly that sort of thing.
all
Yeah.
squeezed into this giant view.
There is a board game that is this, that I got introduced to a year or two ago.
Mhm.
I can't. Let me see if I can just find the name of it quickly here.
This also reminds me of was it Little People? There's a game that has that exact sort of format, and you just
Is this the one
roll
which is black and
around.
white with
Yeah, it's
yeah?
hand drawn, and all of the
It's awesome.
sounds are
It's
made
such a
by
great game.
people.
Yeah, it's such a great game, that one is.
Little folks, maybe something like that.
Folks. Yeah, it's folks something. Hidden Folks. It's called.
Hidden Folks. Yeah.
It's exactly
It's like
that
it's
sort
a
of.
point and click and scroll game.
So the board game is that I'm thinking of, and I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. But the board game is basically you have this massive unfolding map that is a cityscape that looks just like one of the big levels in Hidden Folks, and you are given a detective puzzle that you have to resolve using details in this thing, and there's like little pieces of a story, but it's a narrative that you eventually work out who the killer was based on shit that went down in that city. And it's just a delightful
So
concept.
you have to kind of wander around and spend time digging around in the tavern in the back alley and going over to the factory floor and jumping over to the parking garage across town.
Exactly. And there's like, you know, it is micro macro, I think. Yes, micro macro crime city.
I love that sort of model because it directly, I mean, it gives you, it technically is giving you the omniscient view of everything, but you can't make use of everything without creating threads of attention in the micro level. So your whole volition as a player is to jump down and go and uncover little details here and there to start piecing together a larger understanding of what's happening.
Here we go. Micro macro crime city. Here it is on BGG. Board game. Well, maybe I'll just share it on my screen here. Hang on. So, yeah, you have this massive map of things going on in the world, and then gameplay is built on top of this around exploring details going on in the crazy city. So, yeah.
Oh, you just shared it there. Okay.
I just really enjoy this concept. I haven't bought it yet, strangely enough, and I don't know why. Because this is exactly the sort of thing that I would play.
Micro macro. Oh, it's called micro macro.
Yeah, that's the name of it. And then there's a bunch of add-ons to it, of course, because that's what happens with games like this.
Yeah. That's interesting. Crime City. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's actually really fun. So they give you a bunch of different maps to work with, or you can
So there's
obviously
multiple maps in the
new
box.
maps.
Yeah, and
Okay.
each map has bits. I think some of the plots take place entirely on one map, but then some things I think span multiple maps, and then some maps have things from multiple stories on them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. That's a great photo too. Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
This is a slightly different game approach, but have you ever come across Santorini?
Santorini, I have come
Yeah.
across it. I think I played it once on BGG. BGA, Board Game Arena.
Board game arena.
It's just an online board game
Okay.
thing. I think I played Santorini once or twice on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played it with people at VT a couple of times.
I enjoy it just because it's really easy to start playing. Like it's not complex to adopt, and especially for new players. And you can play a couple games within a short period of time. But once you figure that out, then you start adding in the unique powers that you can shuffle a deck and get for each game through. And
Right, because it's like different gods have different powers, right?
yeah. So like if you have your two people, your two workers, and they're building structures, and the other people on the board also have those. So there's that general tension of trying to prevent someone else from finishing a building or from getting to the top of a building before you cap it off so that they can't. And everyone's trying to just get one of their workers to the very top.
I just like the aesthetic of it. It's
yeah, it's
I have
the dimensionality is fun.
we're off to Gen Con in a week and a half, and I have been doing some preparation for that I will find a link to, because Gen Con, of course, there's a list of games that are either being released or I'm not sure if they're just things being released, but they're things that are getting some kind of release or things that publishers have submitted as being released or be getting particularly promoted at Gen Con this year, and there's like 550 games on that list. So if you want to have any chance of seeing the things that are cool and new at the show, you kind of have to do research in advance.
Yeah, so you could make your list of things to go and track down when you're there.
Yeah, so they have this neat tool. Here, I'll just link to it. So they have this neat tool that is basically a big list of all the things that BGG has assembled from different publishers and things like that, and then you can go through that list and annotate things that you aren't particularly interested in. And then you can create your own list. So I'll give you my list as well. So I'm very keen this year on trick-taking games, because I'm always keen on trick-taking games, and also two-player games. And so the second link I just gave you there is my shopping list.
Oh, okay.
Which of course is full of games I will not be able to play, because who the hell has that much time? I don't have time to play 24 new board games in a year.
Yeah, good.
I mean, maybe, but only just.
So Dead Cells made a board game.
Some of these are listed as interested, meaning I just want to. It describes itself as being a roguelite board game. I got it because I was looking for games that have a legacy component to them, because that's a style that I'm interested in, and
a legacy component. So I'm not as deeply into the board game world, so I might.
Okay. So a legacy component is just where every time you play the game, something changes that will affect future plays. So the original legacy game, I think, was Risk Legacy, which was basically every time you play a game of Risk, something changes about the world. And the earlier ones would do it. Risk Legacy and Pandemic Legacy, they did it with certain things would happen in game, and then you would have to open the secret envelope in the box, open envelope C, and pull out the new rules. And so they would add rules and change the game. So Pandemic Legacy, for example, the first season of that had a whole pile of stuff that introduced zombies and crazy ass plagues and things like that, and it changed the rules, and you put stickers on the board to make it different and all that. So I really like that, because we actually played Pandemic 12 times in a year in order to get to the end of the thing. It was really cool. So I'm interested in that as a gameplay type.
Yeah, something. So it creates a history, like
Mhm.
a thread over time, and you have involvement in the shape of the world going
Well,
forward,
it gives me
which
a
is
reason to feel like I'm playing. I come back to playing the game again, because otherwise I
yeah,
will play a few games to get the idea, and then I'll move on.
yeah. Well, that's why Santorini grabbed me, just because the base game core game mechanics are super simple, but because there's an entire deck of these powers and you only use one of them per game,
Right.
you have a completely different strategy and set of abilities each time you play, and other people have completely different strategies and abilities each time based on the power that you get for
I
that
remember
game.
quite liking Santorini when we played it. I thought it was very nice looking.
Yeah. They made a New York themed version that someone gifted me, but I'm still trying to track down the Greek mythology
Yeah.
original. I just like the look better.
So it's getting to the point that I should probably go upstairs and relieve
Yep.
Bridget from the small person who I can hear is now out of his nap. Um,
The little human. Yeah,
Bridget's not, not
I need
doing
to
the
get
best
going
today.
as well.
Did you know? Have I told you that she's pregnant? I can't remember if I've told.
Bridget's pregnant?
Yeah, we've got another person on, small one on the way.
Oh man,
Yep.
congratulations. That's
Yep.
awesome.
That's so this one due December the 27th. We haven't quite announced it to the world yet, just because we're waiting for a few last test results and things. But we'll be
Before you put it on a public live stream.
yeah, basically. Well, whoopsie daisy. Hi internet. Hello.
Oops.
Well, by the time people find this,
Nobody knows about this.
no, we just haven't like posted it on Facebook yet, but we will soon.
Yeah, just a snippet.
We've told all the people who need to know in advance, like all the family
Yeah.
and all the sort of close friends or longtime friends who would be upset that we didn't tell them personally.
Right.
So we're now just waiting for Bridget had her last appointment on Monday, or her most recent appointment on Monday.
Just to be extra sure everything's
yeah,
clear.
well, so they in the sort of first and early part of the second trimester, they do a lot of genetic tests just to verify that the baby will, for example, be born with a brain, because there are very rare genetic conditions that can cause miscarriages and other such things that you want to know about before you start getting people excited. And we've already done one round of tests, and that was everything went fine there. Most of the problems that go on, most of the ways in which a pregnancy can fail happen in the first trimester, so we're past that. But we're still going to get these tests, and once we have that, then we will promote. But anyway, that means that she has not her mood and her experience of health has not been
typical.
Yeah. Also means that the COVID was extra worrying for us because we got her on antivirals right away because technically she's immunocompromised and we didn't want her to have a proper fever because that can hurt the baby and so on.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, when should we? So I have a few writing tasks in here that I will get onto as soon as I'm able, which will be a few days after Siggy's gone back to daycare. Do you want to try and meet up next week, or do you want to hold off a little bit longer?
Next week I will not be able to because I will be on vacation.
Cool. Well, let's target like
3
weeks from now, because I will be at Gen Con the week after, and when I'm at Gen Con, I have no ability to talk to people. Gen Con is like you get to the place and you sort of transform into a different person who lives in this temporary dimension it lives entirely in this different world, and you live in that different world for a week, and you go to the dead dog party, and then at the end of the dead dog party you go back to your hotel and you realize, oh, that's right, I have a life outside this. It's all consuming.
This isn't all I have ever known or ever will be.
It's very much it's all you care about for that week or so.
Yeah.
It's because we're there as staff, and so we're hanging out with all the people that help run the show every year, and it's a very consuming activity. So.
Well, okay, so 3 weeks out.
Can we maybe just put something on the calendar now rather than worrying about it later?
Yeah, let's do it. So
is this time the Wednesday the 7th work? Does this
Wednesday the 7th? Yes, that'll work.
Okay,
that'll work fine.
Then I will.
Oh my gosh. I've been on calls for all morning today. It's been an exception.
I had almost 3 hours of virtual World Society stuff that.
Oh wow!
Done. So our bylaws have a thing which requires that board members resign after 6 years. Which I put it in there because you want to have some kind of changing over of the guard. But the reality is, Tom's now in his early 80s, And while he's very excited, his way of doing things has not resulted in an organization that is in any way self-sustaining. But we have a very engaged board at the moment. And I've been able to make our finances look understandable and all those sorts of things. And we're now sort of just going through this process of trying to get the organization into a much more stable on its own organization that isn't just dependent on Tom doing things. Because for the longest time, the Virtual World Society was Tom's little place to do projects. And
it was his blanket org.
It was his thing. He was the thing. He would just do stuff in public with, and that's great and all. But it's very difficult for a board to engage with an organization and actually achieve stuff if every time you make a decision, Tom says, "Oh yeah, but I want to do it like this," and then you just have to do it that way because he's the one funding it, which has been historically what it's been.
It's the sole benefactor. Yeah.
We've kind of got to the point now that we need to sort of cut it loose, and so we're trying to work out how to do that. I've been doing that with people this morning.
Well, that's a big shift forward. I was doing putting together a video pitch with the studio lead for the German team that I've been working with for the past couple of years, and we went to Biennale for the Venice Immersive Festival. They had a couple workshops, and we're going back for the festival in September. So we have to have our project is being featured there for people to actually meet up with us, like potential co-production partners and financing. So basically, we have a little pitch that we put together that shows the concept and the general idea and what we want to do with it. And then it's just, we're looking for financing and co-production partners. So a lot of those people go there looking to get involved in projects and help make them happen. So
cool.
All right.
So I've put that on the calendar, and hopefully you'll have an invite for it. Yeah, you should do. And we'll talk then.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream.